Yes, Chanchal ma'am.
Shall we start now, ma'am? Anju ma'am, shall we start now? अंजु मैम स्टार्ट कर दें? हेलो।
Hello ma'am, what happened?
Anju ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yes ma'am, I can see.
Shall we start now, ma'am?
Yes ma'am.
Good morning, respected principals, illustrious dignitaries, and dear teachers. Under the dynamic of leadership of our mentors, respected founder sir, and esteemed chairperson ma'am, we at Amity Gurgaon have always believed that teachers have been entrusted with the care of future generation of our great nation. Therefore, they must continuously update their knowledge and skill so as to remain empowered in the 21st century. I, Chanchal Tiwari, on behalf of AIS 46, welcome you to this online professional development program for teachers hosted by AISG 46 under the guidance of our principal Mrs. Aarti Chopra, who has always inspired us with her innovative ideas. We offer our sincere thanks to our beloved chairperson ma'am, Dr. Mrs. Amita Chauhan, and founder president sir, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, for having always been our guiding light, a beacon of excellence and a great source of inspiration. We have always aspired to equip the teachers with the necessary tools that will enable them to nurture the children in an enhanced learning environment. Let us now we invoke the blessings of our Almighty by playing the Gayatri Mantra.
भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गस्य धीमहि धियो यो प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं
I, on behalf of AIS 46, extend a warm welcome to Mrs. Anju Midda, a resource person for today with virtual Tulsi sapling. We welcome Anju
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Anju is an academician and nutritious with a very rich experience of over 18 years. She graduated in home science and did her master's degree with specialization in food and nutrition from G.B. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology. She has keen interest and belief in proactive wellness and healthcare with the help of right diet and healthy lifestyle. She has written research paper for renowned publications and journals on nutritional content and process techniques of low-cost food products. As head of the home science department in the school, she conducted workshops on meal planning for international students from US, Slovenia, and Switzerland and got special recognition. She was awarded certificate of appreciation from US Department of State, Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs USA. She is associated with the CBSE evaluation since the last 7 years and has also worked as head examiner for Gurgaon district. We welcome you, ma'am. I request a resource person to kindly take over.
Thank you, Chanchal, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, today I'm going to present on clinical nutrition and dietetics. I request all of you to please join presentation. I'm on Peer Deck. I'm sharing my link here. It's quite big link. Okay, I think hope all of you have joined now. So I will start my class. All of you can see my PPT. Yes, please let me know.
Yes, Anju ma'am, visible. Uh,
Okay, peer deck.
yes, visible ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about clinical nutrition and dietetics. This brief flow of my session is I'm going to discuss about the topic in detail, and after that I will discuss about some interactive activities and tools to improve strategies for weak and bright students. So for today's object, this chapter number 2, that is clinical nutrition and dietetics of class 12, the learning objective is to understand and describe the significance and scope of clinical nutrition and dietetics, to describe the role of and function of clinical nutritionists, medical nutrition therapists, to understand about diet modification and therapeutic diets, to explain knowledge and skills required for career in clinical nutrition and dietetics, and to explain the various career options available after pursuing clinical nutrition and dietetics. Now, introduction. Nutrition is the science of food, nutrient, and other substance, as well as their digestion, absorption, and utilization by body. It is also concerned with social, psychological, and economic aspects of food and eating. Here I have given one link regarding what do you understand by healthy diet. I will share this again on Answer Garden. Please just answer on this. This is something else is coming. Yes, all of you click here. Why should we eat healthy diet? I have given you 2 clues. Anything else you can add here? Yes, all of you got this link. Just let me know. It's above peer deck. Yeah. Pranjali, have you got this link?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Yes. Have you submitted your answers? Okay, let me refresh it. Yes. Boost immunity, efficiency, good concentration, to be free from any disease, efficiency, very good. So healthy diet always help us to build immunity, which helps us to have a healthy lifestyle, healthy body, and have healthy body actually helps us to be more efficient. So it is very important for us to have a good healthy diet. So this chapter is on the same thing, which I'm going to discuss also with you, why it is important and career related to this. Okay. Why is nutrition important? To provide immunity and protection from infection. Many of you have written that also. To promote recovery from illness and to manage chronic diseases. So now this present situation in pandemic uh, situation, that is coronavirus 19, has created a lot of problems in everyone's life. So you have seen many people, they lost their life, and many were able to uh, fight with this infection. This was because of their diet, their healthy diet, their immune system. So diets help us to build a good immunity system. They promote recovery. Even while recovering from the disease also required a good healthy diet. Many messages were coming related to this. Yes, can you answer me what type of diet was recommended during coronavirus? Many dietitians, many experts, they were sending. Can you name some of the diets which were recommended or some food items?
Basically diet rich in vitamin C for boosting immunity.
Yes, very good.
Even zinc is also considered as very good nutrient for boosting immunity, zinc and vitamin A.
Yes. Anita ma'am, Chinchal ma'am, you want to give some advice on this?
Uh, I think role of phytochemicals, I would say, has really been presented or highlighted very well for boosting immunity.
Yes.
We should add
We should
vitamin
add
C also.
Okay, I think Chinchal ma'am voice is echoing. Okay, so we have seen that all in during pandemic situation, during coronavirus, various experts, various dietitians, doctors, they were advising us to take a healthy diet to increase the our body immunity, which will help us to fight a disease. And so diet is one of the most important thing. So here as all of you have suggested vitamin C, yes, that is the vitamins which are required for the body. Mineral zinc was a mineral which is required. Then phytochemicals again are there, which helps us to fight the disease. And protein, high protein diet was there to provide us immunity. So diet is one of the most major aspects which help us to be a healthy person and which helps us to be uh, more efficient. If a person is suffering from any disease or any problem, he may not be able to work properly. And if a person is not able to work properly, then he is not bringing economy to his house as well as to the country. So always diet is considered one of the most important element in one's life, and healthy lifestyle, both things. So some of the chronic diseases can also be managed, like cancer, like diabetes, heart disease, which I'm going to discuss in my um, presentation. Now, what is clinical nutrition? Let us focus on this. Clinical nutrition focuses on nutritional management of patients with established disease, health problems, illness, and can affect nutritional status in the following way: by impairing the person's ability to eat, swelling by interfering with the digestion, by interfering with the digestion, absorption, and metabolism, as well as excretion. Even if one function is initially affected, if the health problem the intensify the other function and may also affect. So you have seen this in this situation also. Even a person was suffering from uh, fever, he had low immunity, his health was affected, he was not able to move, then coughing, so many things happen. So any infection which occurs or any illness occurs, it affects you, and the person was again was not able to eat the food properly, digest, vomiting, so many things were happening. So any one system affects the other system. Now let's see what is the importance of clinical nutrition.
I think nutrition is the cornerstone of healthful living. And it is that intervention that is supportive of both pharmacological as well as surgical interventions.
In today's increasingly complex world of healthcare, food is often the afterthought. And that's our primary focus. We come to Stanford every single day and we say, how can we use nutrition to improve our patients' outcomes?
Some people miss dose.
The clinical nutrition team at Stanford Healthcare has many different areas of focus, anywhere from cardiology to solid organ transplant to oncology to endocrinology to primary care. We have over 40 registered dietitians in our inpatient and our outpatient settings.
The big benefit of this collaboration means that it's not a single discipline or department working towards the benefit of the patient. It's a group of departments working together, each utilizing their individual skills to come up with a really great plan of care to enhance recovery and get patients home and safe as quickly as we can.
Malnutrition is actually really hard to identify, and dietitians are trained and equipped to be able to identify this difficult state. Your GI tract pretty much kind of stops working, so it takes a little time for it to wake up after the surgery. So they're at very high risk of becoming malnourished.
You and I have had a history together. Remember the time I fed you through your nose?
On the medicine units, I routinely perform what we call medical nutrition therapy. I identify malnourished patients, provide and oversee nutrition interventions. As a nutrition ambassador, I can be that little voice in your head that says, yes, sustained lifestyle adaptations can produce the results that you're looking for.
Who says we need carbs?
My day-to-day really looks different every day. So some days I'm here teaching classes, other days I'm seeing patients one-on-one, but everything ends up being patient-centered. And all the studies really show nutrition is so key to patients' outcomes in the inpatient setting as well as the outpatient setting. The clinical dietitian team is definitely a really special team. Whenever I meet with other people that work and interact with our clinical dietitian team, they always say, wow, your team seems like they have a lot of fun.
I was blown away when I first came here to interview for this position by just the passion and the intelligence and the commitment that my team has to their profession. I was just absolutely blown away.
I love working at Stanford because of the compassion that is here, that's in the energy, the air, within everybody. Everyone is really caring, and it's just such a peaceful and
So we can see that clinical nutrition is important and how it helps the patients to improve their health while they are hospitalized or while if they are having any other problem. Now, nutrition care during an illness is an organized group of activity there and consists of assessing nutritional status. First, dietitians, they assess the nutritional status of the person, then diagnose the nutritional problem where it is, then planning and prioritizing nutrition intervention if required, evaluating nutritional care outcomes and making changes if further required. Nutritional assessment involves following information so that by taking this information, dietitian can plan a proper or clinical nutrition can plan a proper diet for a patient. Obtaining detailed information on health, diet, person and medical histories, then anthropometric measurements, height, weight, then chest circumference, head circumference, these types of measurements are required, and relating the information on laboratory and physical measurements with the above and physician's diagnosis. Whatever the doctor says or whatever their lab reports are, and based on this, the dietitian interpret all the above identity potential and nutritional deficiencies and risk of future deficiencies, and she plans the diet. He or she plans the diet accordingly. Now, importance of nutrition in disease state. It plays an important role in management and treatment of illness. Ensuring good nutrition status is imperative during prognosis and recovery of hospitalization period, as the dietitians were telling in the video. Poor nutrition not only leads to health problem but can also make existing problem worse, which I have discussed earlier also. Now, objective of diet therapy. What are the objective? Why we do give diet therapy? Formulation of diet is to meet the need of patients, taking into consider her or his food habits. We cannot plan a diet which a patient is not accepting. If we are planning a diet which a patient don't like, for example, a patient is from South India and we are planning a diet and giving him something which we prepare in North India, we are not adding idli or something which is very common in South India, then the patient will not like. So we have to consider his habits, food habits and likes. Modification of existing diets to improve the disease condition and to keep it under control. So whatever he is taking, we have to modify that. Correction of nutritional deficiencies, anything lacking, any type of nutrition which is lacking in that, for example, protein is not there, or vitamin C or vitamin A, something is lacking. We have, because we take a detailed study, details of the patient, what they are eating, and accordingly we assess what are the deficiencies in his diet, and we give them that, we add that nutrients to the diet. Prevention of short-term and long-term complication in case of chronic diseases, how we can prevent that. So what are the main foods which person should take? For example, during heart disease, we give them omega-3 fatty acids. We ask them to avoid saturated fats, low salt diet. So this type of long-term and short-term type of diets are given, and educating and counseling the patient regarding the need to adhere to the prescribed diet. Now, nutrients and food supplements in diet therapy. There are some nutrients which we have discussed in the class, which are required, which are suggested by the dietitians or clinical nutritionists at time when the patients need a intervention of food, nutrients. Nutraceuticals are a substance that have health benefit. This may be components in natural food or products manufactured wherein specific ingredients they have been included in to confer the health benefits. Medical foods are those products that are specially manufactured for a person with specific needs. Such foods are regulated and can be used only with a doctor's prescription for specific dietary management of a disease or condition. So they are specified by the doctors and dietitians. Phytochemicals or bioactive compounds are non-nutrient constituents present in food that have physiological or biological activity and influence on health. So these are some of the food prescribed by dietitians or doctors to overcome any type of any type of deficiencies. For example, we give Protein X during deficiency of protein, then multivitamins are given. So many things are made and they are given. So what do you understand by medical foods? Just write here. I'm giving this prompt to you. Yes, please. Can you see my prompt?
Ma'am, we can see the prompt, but what is the question? Can you please repeat the question again?
What do you understand by medical foods? Just write a small answer. This is just how this is just an way we can interact with the students during classrooms. While teaching a lesson to a student, we should interact in such a way that we can understand the students are listening to us and are writing answers, or they are able to understand the concept. Very good. Prescribed by physician or dietitian. Yes. Second response, foods for medical purposes. Very good. Okay, anyone else answering, or should I continue with my presentation? I can see 2 responses. Okay. Should I come then? Okay. Now I was discussing about role of diet in COVID. What was the requirement? So there is one dietitian. She was just discussing about what type of diet should we eat. So I wanted to show you some video, small video on that.
2 दिन के लिए थोड़ा कम.
Would it be wrong to say that as a nation, India is scared today? With the coronavirus outbreak, we have questions and very few answers. Today, giving answers to all your queries is integrative nutritionist and health coach Neha Ranglani joining us for a conversation. Welcome, Neha.
Hi, thank you.
Because there is no cure to this. What are the kind of preventive measures that as a person one can take?
So I'll tell you what, a lot of it has to come from your immune system. So coronavirus is just like any other virus. It's a viral flu that we always get, and we get cured of it without even knowing, and sometimes not even taking medications. But the only thing with this virus is that it's very easily transmissible, and it affects your respiratory system directly. So people are like, they're like, we don't know what to do of this, and hearing so many cases, right, that people are dying, mortality rate is this, and blah blah blah. But we need to remember that the immunity within us is something that's going to help us fight this.
Absolutely.
So we need to actually up our immunity game to protect ourselves. So even if you sort of contract it, your body will fight it out.
True.
So the only focus right now has to be your immunity, and 70 to 80% of your immunity comes from your gut. So if you have gut issues like bloating, indigestion, constipation, very important. Constipation, which we kind of really ignore and say, oh, it's just constipation, Yeah, it's very not considered as important sort of a health issue, but it is important because you're not really throwing the toxin out, and that creates a lot of toxins in the body which the virus can feed on. So a lot of digestive issues can hamper your immune system because it gives rise to a lot of bad bacteria in your gut, and bad bacteria then dampen your immune system. So you need to focus on actually improving your good bacteria in your gut, and you're supposed to do that through gut balancing foods and not gut damaging foods. So there are certain foods which we all consume in our day-to-day life and we think they're healthy, but they can actually cause damage to our gut.
Like what?
Like tea and coffee. Nayan, are you fond of it?
I am fond of both. When you told me, I was like I think none of us know about it.
Yes.
That tea and coffee can do a lot of damage.
It's very inflammatory, and especially it's complex with milk and sugar and all of that. It causes a lot of trauma on the gut. So tea and coffee, aerated drinks which we just gulp down without thinking, diet Coke, sodas and all of that. So these foods. Then you have your dairy, milk and milk products. They also damage the gut lining because nowadays the dairy has a lot of antibiotics, hormones, toxins in them. Wheat, the modern day wheat has the kind of gluten which our body cannot digest. So that affects our gut lining. Then we have all our refined oils, refined salt, refined sugar, and then our alcohol intake. All of this together cumulatively actually affects our gut. Fried food, processed and packaged food which we just pick up out of convenience and we're like, okay, we don't have time to eat, so we'll eat this. So eating a lot of foodless food affects your gut.
But practically, this forms about 90% of our daily food intake anyway on a regular day. So what are the things that people should be eating?
Exactly, I'm coming to that now. So you actually need to eat a lot of wholesome, natural, nature-made foods like your fruits, vegetables, greens, nuts, sprouts, whole grains, pulses. Now there's so much that you can eat, right? But we only think of eating foods
French food.
French
fries and Coke.
Exactly, which you can have French fries, but in a baked way. You can actually steam the potatoes and bake them, so they're as delicious minus all the negative effects. So it's important to eat as nature inclined foods as much as possible. That is your gut immunity. Also, liver is very important. Our liver has its own immune system, which is very important to fight any virus or bacteria or anything in our body, because the minute the bacteria starts spreading or virus starts spreading, it first gets into the liver because it's a very vascular organ and the liver is responsible to detoxify everything. Now, if your liver is not in good shape, it clearly can't kill, and from there, it's going to spread to other places. So it's important to take care of your liver, and what are the foods, what all foods I told you to avoid are actually the liver damaging foods as well. Alcohol being number one on the list because it directly gets into your liver and slows it down, right? Because the liver has to work really hard to throw it out of the system.
But tell me something, Neha. So when there is an ongoing problem in your body, that you know that maybe you have hypertension or you are suffering from a liver issue or maybe diabetes, so that it doesn't affect you even like in a worse way, what do you do then? Like when you already know that your liver is not going to function 100% to its capacity, and then this has happened, how do you tackle that situation then?
Start making changes right immediately as you come to know that you have a sort of an infection in your system. So just start eliminating the wrong foods. Make a food diary, make a list of all the foods you're eating through the day, and just check which out of this is damaging you. And I always say it's not what you eat sometimes, it's what you eat all the time, and every day is what damages you. So it's important to take those foods out which you're eating day on day, meal on meal, every day, which is then affecting your health. And of course, when you know you have a certain problem, or you have an infection, or you already have a weakened immune system inside, you need to be more cautious and take more care, and give your body extra importance by putting in a lot of herbs and herbs, like herbs and spices. We Indians are really blessed with these herbs and spices. So you could actually do a few concoctions through the day, like your ginger, lemon, turmeric water. You get this fresh turmeric these days, which you can grate. It looks like ginger. You can use that. Then there's celery juice, which is a great antiviral. It has a great antiviral property. So just one big glass of plain celery juice. Aloe vera juice, which is great for the gut. Then you could do
aloe vera and water.
Just aloe vera pulp, organic aloe vera pulp and water, and blend it. And in that, if you want, you can put a little lemon or amla, because it has vitamin C. And then you could actually make a water with thyme and rosemary, because these herbs are very good. Green smoothie, a green juice with tulsi, because tulsi, we Indians really value tulsi at a very holy space. We know tulsi is very holy for us. So tulsi, and then you can put moringa, spirulina. Pan ka patta is amazing because it has so many minerals. A tiny betel leaf which we eat for fun, like pan khate hain, that pan ka patta is actually very digestive and it's great for your health. So put all these leaves into a blender, put some water. If you like a fruit like a pineapple or something, just put that, blend it in, and just gulp it down. So 1 glass of green smoothie, you're doing great for your immunity in that sense.
So right in the morning.
Yeah, first thing in the morning. So do your like ginger lemon water. Then you could do like your green smoothie. In between, you could do like a celery juice and things like that. So that is there. Then of course, you have your spices, our kitchen spices, like your sauf, jeera, ajwain. You have dalchini, cinnamon, and cloves, and cardamom, and coriander seeds, and mulethi. Mulethi is a very, very less known sort of a spice which is used, but it's great for immunity. It's called licorice in English, but mulethi powder. Again, you'll get it at any spice store, and you can put a little powder of that and make a concoction and keep sipping it through the day.
Only in water.
In water.
But I read somewhere, I'm sure that a lot of us are reading about it, and that's why we are getting stressed.
Yeah.
So when you're reading about cure, a lot of people are saying that there are a lot of myths that are going around. I want to know if you think they're true or not. So there's a myth that garlic water is curing coronavirus.
I don't think it's proven, but garlic again is great for immunity. The only thing with garlic is many people don't like the taste and they just can't digest. For some people, garlic can get a little acidic on the gut. But if you can digest it and if you like it, please go ahead, because like ginger, it also has a lot of immunity boosting properties.
So you are saying that first we have to eliminate the tea and the coffee that we are having
and the immunity damaging
yeah,
foods.
And milk and everything, and then we replace that with a green smoothie or maybe water with masala,
the
spices that we have.
Yeah.
Do people sip on that water throughout the day then?
They can put it in a flask, keep sipping it. They could also make a powder of it and put the powder in.
So here you can see how dietitian help us to help the patients to have good diet to improve their disease condition, to come out of their disease condition. So as we can discuss these types of videos in class, because this is the situation which is going in present. So this again helps to improve their learning process. Now, importance of dietitian. Their major role is to provide guidance and balanced diet, which helps in prevention of disease and promotion of good health. Their role has been more important in recent times because of the spread of various diseases, HIV, AIDS, COVID, non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, disease, then obesity. So these again, obesity can lead to diabetes, and it is considered that India is going to be capital of diabetes. And recently also we have seen that many diabetic patients, they passed away because of that, because they uh, got infected with coronavirus and diabetes was not in control, which again there was a loss of life. So if we cure these problems at early stage by taking proper diet, we can overcome that type of situation. Professional clinic, so it is important that we should take advice from professional clinical nutritionists or dietitians. They use a systematic and logical approach to nutrition care process, focusing on each patient's unique needs and holistic manner. So patient is their main center, main focus. Role of dietitian and diet therapy. What is the role? Primary responsibility of dietitian is for ensuring that the patients receive appropriate diet at optimum nutrition care. After assessing the nutritional status of patient, analyzing nutritional needs, nutritional requirement in different illness and disease, and developing the nutritional care plan and implementing it by administrating suitable regimes to the patients who are hospitalized, and counseling those who are in OPD or outpatient department. So now she gives all the details. She advises and translate the technical information into dietary guidelines, provide advice to the patients, give prescriptions to individuals during different stages of life cycle in order to maintain good healthy nutritional state during pregnancy or during childhood or infancy. Both normal and therapeutic diets are planned to maintain or restore good nutrition in the individual. A dietitian also needs to look the effect of illness on food acceptance and utilization. Some of the factors that are considered include nutritional stress, psychological stress, effect of illness on food, acceptance, acceptability, or modified therapeutic diet, which I have discussed. That these are the some things which dietitian discuss with the patient, and then she plans a diet. Professional skills required in this field are: a study of clinical nutrition and dietetics enables the profession to plan diet appropriately to meet the nutritional requirement at various stages of life cycle, modify diet at various disease condition, keeping in mind their physical state, occupation, culture, ethnic, social, economic background. So I have discussed about if they belong to any culture or any region, so they want to like food accordingly, so she plans the diet accordingly. Plan diets for athletes, individual in special situations such as nutrition in space, persons working in submarines, defense personnel, etc. To promote health and well-being of patient admitted to hospitals and OPDs. Now, manage food services in variety of, they can work as to work in various hospitals, where schools, orphanages, help patients with chronic disease, manage to prevent complication and improve quality of life, promote better health in community, and provide effective services in healthcare institute and establishments of better patient care management, holistic care, and contribute to better survival and recovery. Many companies, they also keep nutritionists. Many celebrities, they have their own nutritionist or clinical nutritionist with them. Now some of the, we'll discuss about, we have discussed about the dietitian, role of dietitian so much. So what some of the terms which are used by clinical nutritionists or dietitians are: diet, meal modification, and therapeutic diet. So diet, it refers to full day menu which includes all the meals of the day. Meal of on the other hand refers to the menu of either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. A diet should be meet the needs of daily caloric of an individual, whereas a meal may take care of a part of his nutritional needs. Any nutritional care plan involves providing for adequate intake of all nutrients according to the requirement based on age, sex, physiological state, occupation, and health. So what is meal modification? It refers to adaptation of basic meal to meet the nutritional needs of family members according to their age and other specific health. It means serving a meal cooked for a family to have to any members refer member after varying it either in quantity or quantity or frequency. Points to be kept in mind while modifying the meals. Meals modified should not deviate from the original meals. Easy to produce, more acceptable likes of individual should be kept in the mind. Meal should look attractive and served in a pleasant manner. So while modifying the diet, dietitian take all these consideration. What are the points she should take into account and modify the diet? That is known as modification of meal. Now, therapeutic diet. What are therapeutic diets? Therapeutic diet is a modification of regular diet to meet the nutritional needs of particular person suffering from any ailment. Therapeutic modification of normal diet is done with respect to change in consistency, semi-solid diet, soft diet, liquid diet. So, for some patient, liquid diet is very important because they are not able to chew. Patient who suffer from dental surgery, those who have dental surgery or have any type of accident, some mouth injury is there, or patient who are in coma, they cannot eat the food, so liquid diet is given. Similar after surgery also liquid diet is recommended. Semi-solid, then they are transferred to semi-solid soft diet, like then soft diet. And diet modification can also be done by increasing or decreasing the frequency. Since liquid diet is not sufficient, it is good, but it is considered that it lacks in many nutrients. So frequency is increased that all nutrients can be given to the patient. For example, morning they give juice, then then they can give tea or something, lemon water, like this. All the nutrients are given to the patient and diet is fulfilled. So frequency, number of servings are included. Then foodstuffs can be changed. Then foodstuffs that some patient don't like, this, for example, carbohydrate is not added or some other things are not added. The nutrients here, protein restricted diet can be given. Methods of cooking can be changed. Instead of frying, boiling methods can be used. So these are how modification of diets are given. Can you name some of the liquid diets? Yes, I need answers. Some of the liquid diets. Yes. I received one response. Very good. Yes, clear spinach, coriander soup. Very good. Anyone else? Yes, clear tomato soup. Others also please respond. Name some of the good, some of the liquid diets.
Ma'am, coconut water.
Very good.
Actually, there is some problem with my network, so I'm not able to respond at times. So please excuse me.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to show how we can interact with the students during our classroom when we are teaching them. So making them attentive during classes. Okay, thank you. Now, these are types of diets, but some patient, okay, a therapeutic adaptation of normal diet. This is a big video. I'll show you small portion of that. What is therapeutic adaptation?
Now we move on to a new area of spoiling the health of an individual. Different from a normal diet, but little modifications in how we can use food in treating the diseases or preventing the diseases from spoiling the health of an individual. So let us see, these therapeutic diets are nothing but we adapt the normal diet to make a therapeutic diet. Therapeutic nutrition always begins with a normal diet. It is nothing different from a normal diet, but little modifications in various ways can make it a therapeutic diet. So it should be planned to maintain and restore good nutrition in any situation. If the person is ill, the aim of therapeutic diet is to bring therapeutic diet. So you have to provide change in the consistency. When the person is very ill, you change the consistency into a pure is reduced, you bring it to a soft diet and then to a normal diet. Then increasing or decreasing the energy value. So if the person is not able to tolerate high energy foods, then you either increase or decrease the energy value depending upon the condition of the patient of the food. And suppose the individual is having diarrhea, then you reduce the amount of energy that is present in the food and slowly start increasing the diet. So, and whenever the person is undernourished, you should increase the energy value. Then greater or lesser amount of more nutrients. So we have been seeing what are the nutrients and their functions and how deficiency occurs. So based on the type of deficiency or whatever need for the nutrient is there, you try to increase or decrease the various nutrients in the diet. Then increase or decrease the fiber in the diet. This especially comes in the case of constipation or diarrhea, and the person is soft and it relieves the problem of constipation. Decreasing the fiber because the residue formation has to be there. So you decrease the fiber and transit time decreases, so diarrhea will decrease. Then provide foods bland in flavor. When the person is ill, he is not able to tolerate certain flavors, then you have to change the flavor of the food and provide the diet to the individual. So these are the liquid and soft diets which require only a change in the consistency. The same food which we are eating, if it is softly cooked, it can be fed to the infants or to the older age group. And there is no restriction for any food selection here. Tolerate food and any gastrointestinal disturbances so that it does not cause any irritation to the gastrointestinal system. And following surgery, after surgery, gastrointestinal system is not stressed for digesting the food. Then harsh fiber and fatty or spiced foods are avoided. You better give them bland food so that it does not irritate the gastrointestinal system. But at the same time, we have to see that the soft diet is nutritionally adequate. All the food groups into the food and make it a soft diet. Then 3 meals with intermediate feedings are necessary. Then generally when the individual takes food, you take 3 meals, plan 3 meals. But for a sick person, we can plan 5 to 6 meals a day in small quantities so that the nutritional needs are met and the individual is recovered from the illness. The diet includes some examples like soft cooked rice can be given, chapati and bread can be given by putting them in either milk or hot tea and served. Then milk and milk products can be given, boiled and the liquid is given. The appetite increases and the individual eats. Then liquid or full fluid diets, they are used for febrile states. Febrile state is when the individual is suffering from fever. So you give them more of liquid and full fluid diets. At the same time, during fever, the energy requirement is more, so you should meet the nutritional requirements also. Then post-operatively also we give liquid and full fluid diets so that they are easily assimilated. And whenever the patient is unable to make the liquid, we'll decide what is the nutrient content of that food. Then you have clear fluid diet. There is no solid particle in the diet. So this is when the person is unable to tolerate food because either because of nausea, vomiting or gas formation, diarrhea, extreme loss of appetite. The person is not able to tolerate food at all. And therefore it is restricted. Sometimes the person is restricted of food intake in acute infections or just before surgery and before diagnosis. When the person is supposed to not to have any food, clear liquid can be given. Surgery of colon or rectum where residue should not be formed so that there is a rest for the colon and rectum, you give clear liquid diets. Then when the condition says that evacuation should not be there, the bowel movement should not be there. Then the clear liquid is given. And to relieve the thirst, whenever we feel very thirst, generally is done is we have some coconut water. Coconut water is a clear fluid diet. It will quench the thirst. So under such conditions you give. And to supply tissue. But this clear liquid diet, since it does not have any solid material, it is entirely inadequate. It is not sufficient for the individual's nutritional needs. So it is deficient in protein, minerals, vitamins, and calories. And so therefore it should not be continued for, again it may lead to water intoxication. Next to clear fluid diet, once the 24 to 48 hours are over, slowly the person can be shifted to full fluid diet. So this diet is, bridges the gap between clear fluid and soft diet. So a person who is very ill, who cannot chew or swallow the food, is given full fluid diet. So it is also used for the persons who have undergone surgery, then a person who has acute gastritis, acute infection, and gradually come back to the solid state so that the individual can tolerate the food. And in this diet, foods are liquid, which readily become liquid, and upon reaching the stomach, they are comfortable to the patient. And the diet is made entirely adequate. You can now here, you can add foods and make it nutritionally adequate. And it can be used over extended time of period without any fear of deficiencies, because you can use all the foods to make a full fluid diet. So again, this is given at 2 to 4 hours interval, because it is a fluid diet, the quantity cannot be consumed at a time. So you give no more number of times, at least once in 2 to 4 hours. Then
So then finally we give a full diet to the patient, soft diet and then full diet. So this is how therapeutic modification is done. As all of us know what is soft diet, what is liquid diet, we are teaching them. So I just wanted to show you this only in a small section. Now many patients, they are in coma, or they have some type of surgery. They are not able to eat the food due to gastrointestinal problems. So there are different feeding routes which are used in hospitals. The best if they are normally eating, oral feeding is done by mouth. However, there are patients who may not be able to chew or swallow. If the person is unconscious due to an accident or any disease condition, or if there is any problem with esophagus, in such cases, individuals are given two options, that is tube feeding or intravenous feeding. In tube feeding, nutritionally complete feeds are delivered through the tube, and these are preferred over intravenous feeding as long as the gastrointestine is functioning and the person is able to digest and absorb whatever is fed. Intravenous feeding means that the patient is nourished with special solution which are given through the drip in the vein. So there are prevention of chronic diseases. Foods are consumed today, especially processed foods which contain many additives and high in fat or sugars are often preferred from highly refined foods and are therefore low in fiber and may add many other important constituents which are confer with the health benefit. This is why we need help in making appropriate choices. It has been found that over the period of last 10 years that the fat consumption has increased, refined sugar consumption has increased, and these changes have been associated with increased incidence of chronic diseases. Example, increase in sugar and fat consumption along with the decrease in fiber consumption and less physical activity play in role in increasing the obesity and diabetes. And some scientists have found connection between diet and disease. For example, in clinical study of 20,000 men consuming fish once in a week was linked to 52% in reduction in risk of sudden death from the heart attack. So diet plays an important role. Now, in another study, fish is high in omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential components of cells and can protect the heart from abnormal heart rhythm. In order to another clinical study, more than 42,000 women, those who are ate lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grain fats, dairy products, and only lean meats lived longer. Higher intake of fruits and vegetables and legume was associated with lower risk of developing heart disease. So diabetes is disorder of carbohydrate metabolism, which results in high blood glucose level. So in this, we have to maintain the diet, we have to maintain the carbohydrate. We used to give this earlier, and today I teach my students in class because this studies are given there. So high fiber, low calorie and low glycemic index is type of fiber is given to the patient, and calories, we have to maintain the calories, and high protein diet can be given in this case. Diet for diabetic patients, so these food groups I tell them to write in their when they are planning diets, so they can put this in their file. So there is a link of this studies on diabetes, which I because of lack of time I am not going to share. Now hypertension, when pressure is the blood gets elevated in arteries of blood, it is known as hypertension. Now there is one more study how we can prevent heart disease, heart attack. Let me see how much time it will take.
Eight foods that can help clean your arteries naturally and help prevent you from heart issues. According to WebMD, arteries are blood vessels that carry blood rich in oxygen throughout the body. They go to your brain as well as the tips of your toes. Having healthy arteries means preventing the likelihood of heart attacks and strokes. The British Heart Foundation notes that there are those who have blocked arteries or atherosclerosis and are simply unaware of it. They only become aware of it once they have developed symptoms like angina and claudication. Sadly, the first time that someone realizes they suffer from this is when they experience something like a stroke or a heart attack. Before you start freaking out, don't worry. There are some simple things that you can do, and pretty much has to do with your diet. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more healthy tips like this and turn on notifications. Number 1, fish. The first food that you should start consuming more is fish. Fish have a ton of healthy omega-3 fatty acids. These acids are known to have a positive influence on blood cholesterol levels, which ultimately leads to clogged arteries. In a study done by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, it was found that women who ate 2 or more servings of fatty fish had better cardiovascular health. Some fish you can turn to are herring, tuna, trout, mackerel, and salmon. Number 2, citrus fruit. In a study published in the ARIA Atherosclerosis, citrus fruit was found to have significantly reduced systolic blood pressure. It also reduces stenosis. Back in the 18th century, they even used citrus to treat scurvy. According to a study by the University of Southern California Department of Preventive Medicine, foods that are high in viscous fiber protect your arteries from clogging. So having a piece of grapefruit for breakfast is pretty yummy and a healthy thing to do. Number 3, walnuts. A study conducted by Yale University's Prevention Research Center found that walnuts improve the flexibility of arteries. On top of that, according to drwheel.com, Spanish researchers recently reported that eating about 8 shelled walnuts worked better than olive oil at protecting arteries from damage that can follow a meal in high saturated fat. So if you're enjoying eating nuts, focus your attention on walnuts. They have a ton of benefits to them. Number 4, flaxseed. If you aren't a fan of flaxseed, you should start getting used to them. They have a ton of benefits to them. One is helping the health of your arteries. A study published in the Canadian Journal of Cardiology concluded that flaxseed could have strong beneficial effects in the primary and secondary prevention of cardiovascular disease. Health.clevelandclinic.org notes that flaxseed have omega-3 fatty acid fiber and phytoestrogens that boost heart health. You can find flax seeds in ground form or in your favorite type of bread. There are even cereals that have it as well. Number 5, turmeric. When it comes to the health of your arteries and heart, turmeric should be your best friend. TurmericForHealth.com writes that there have been over 200 research studies that have looked into the therapeutic efficacy of turmeric and curcumin in various heart conditions. Not only does it protect the heart, but it also fights different metabolic conditions that play a factor in the development of heart diseases. Number 6, green tea. According to health.harvard.edu, there have been a number of studies that have looked into the possible link between green tea and cardiovascular disease. A study of 40,530 Japanese adults found that those who drank more than 5 cups of green tea a day had a 26% lower risk of heart attack or stroke, and a 16% lower risk of death from all causes than people who drank less than 1 cup of green tea a day. Number 7, cinnamon. There are a ton of different health benefits to eating cinnamon in its natural form. It's considered an antioxidant. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and it can help cut the risk of heart disease. In a study published in Diabetes Care, researchers found that cinnamon improves the glucose and lipids of people with type 2 diabetes. A meta-analysis of research available conducted by the College of Pharmacy, Western University of Health Sciences in Pomona, California concluded that cinnamon can have an effect of reducing cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and triglycerides. Number 8, pomegranates. Many of us enjoy indulging in some pomegranates. It's fun to eat, and the taste is pretty much addicting. But this fruit also has some heart health benefits. LifeExtension.com notes that both in the laboratory and in clinical studies, pomegranate has proven to avert a number of pathological changes that are associated with cardiovascular disease. The site notes that this fruit fights cardiovascular disease by reducing oxidative stress, supporting synthesis and activity of nitric oxide, and much more. Enjoyed this video? Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for
So again, I have shown you video how diet's effects can help you to prevent heart disease. We can share these videos with the students as they have to plan diet. Many examiners, they come and ask about different types of diet, what the ingredients they have used, which help them to know about the ingredients and the role of diet in preventing certain diseases. So here is the diet plan which I discuss with my students for how to prevent heart disease. So we should restrict salt to lower the blood pressure. Lots of liquids can be given. Now I will discuss, before going to discuss about the knowledge and skills, I'll share one quiz with you. Okay. Please, all of you join quizzes.com, myquiz.com. There is a quiz on clinical nutrition and dietetics. There are only 5 questions. I'm sharing link also. Yes. Yes, please join this quiz. Chanchal ma'am, are you there? All of you can listen to me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are
Okay.
clear.
Yes, ma'am. Here.
Yeah. Yes, one more student. Yes. I'm starting the quiz. Very good, Anita ma'am. Ranjana ma'am has left. Okay. Now we can see Anita ma'am. We can show this to students their feedback, how they have done. Okay. This will help us to the students to know about what they have done. Then we can show them answers also, correct and incorrect scores like this. Second question, third question, fourth, like this we can show them results. Now let me stop this. I will come back to my presentation. The knowledge and skills required by clinical nutrition is knowledge of physiological changes in disease condition, changes in research, RDA's nutritional requirement in illness and types of dietary modification required, skills assessing in nutritional status of patients, and clinical biochemical criteria, diet planning customized to the requirement of individual patient and specific disease condition, and administrating communication of diets to the patient, understanding basic biological and physical science, including chemistry, biology, physiology, biochemistry, knowledge of microbiology and food microbiology, biology and safety, food quality assurance, food laws and regulations. Then education planning for a career in clinical nutrition and dietetics, BSc degree in home science, BSc with specialization in nutrition. For career as a dietitian, one must at least complete a postgraduate diploma in dietetics with internship of quality to be registered dietitian. So we have to register as a registered dietitian, and BSc degree in home science, life science, biochemistry, microbiology, biotechnology with MSc in food science and nutritional or dietetics helps us to specialize in field and preferred in many places of employment. A dietitian after finishing his or her university education can go further and qualify to obtain a credential for a registered dietitian. One has to apply this and then she can work as a independent dietitian also. National or state eligibility tests are conducted by UGC and PhD for career in academics. One can go for academics and research also. So dietitians can work in hospitals, including specialty department, a key member to provide nutritional support to health care system, dietitian in catering services for hospitals, schools, in industries, canteen, etc. Dietitian with consultant, physician in health clubs, entrepreneurs who can apply, who can open their own consultancy centers or who can have their own canteens to supply healthy food diets. Teaching, one can go for teaching, research, nutritional marketing and technical writing of the content of nutrition. So before showing this video, I would like you to play one more game. Let's see if I can share with you. Kahoot.com. There are again 5 questions. Please join this. Pin is going to log in. Please join Kahoot.com. This is the pin 36244645. I'll try to copy. Yes, very good. Pranjali has joined. Functional foods are beneficial. 3 out of 3. Yes, next question.
Anju ma'am, it was not moving. I don't know what it is.
Anju ma'am, I am not able to do it. I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
even I'm able to do it. It's
Anju
not.
ma'am, same here. Same here, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just share it. I'll try to.
Okay.
So this is another tool which we can implement in classroom. But I can see your scores here. This is first answer you have given.
No, I don't know how it happened, but I have
we
not
have not-
answered anything.
Yeah, this is your, you can see your score here.
But no question.
But
being
we have
asked.
not
Yeah.
done
No,
any
not answered a single question.
Why? Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay. I'll try to share again. You want to play it again, ma'am? I will assign it again if you want to play.
It's okay, ma'am. You can move on. It's okay.
Please, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay.
You can cut.
Okay. So if I was discussing about the various avenues where job avenues for a clinical nutritionist or a dietitian. There is again one small video which is showing about how we can explore a career in dietetics, which are the fields which one can explore.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find.
It's such an exciting time to work in food and nutrition. Everywhere you look, there is a growing interest in the connection between food and health. And with this expanding awareness comes the need for more people like you to choose a career in dietetics.
The field is always growing and evolving, and there are so many different career paths you can take at this point in time. It used to be kind of cut and dry, but now if you can dream it, you can do it.
The science of food is so interesting to me because everybody eats food, so it's relevant to everyone, and you can really make a difference in people's lives.
There are so many reasons to pursue this unique and valuable career path.
In thinking about what I wanted to do as a career, I always just thought I'd go into medicine, go to medical school. But the more I thought about it, I realized what I really wanted to do was to help people prevent illness. And to me, nutrition and dietetics is the perfect fit for that.
I went into nutrition because I absolutely love food, and I think it's very important for people to understand how the food that they're eating affects their health and their bodies. And that's what everyone is interested in.
There are so many reasons why I went into nutrition. I think the main reasons were influenced by my diagnosis of thyroid cancer, and this influenced me to want to take something that I've always been passionate about, which is food, and create healthy options for people.
Dietetics is a great way to kind of merge a love for medical knowledge and health with a love of food.
From schools and supermarkets
Ma'am,
to
please
restaurants
share
and
feedback.
athletic fields, the professional opportunities are endless.
When I went into
Feedback.
dietetics, when I first started out, I thought the only thing I can do in dietetics is work as a dietitian, registered dietitian in a hospital, and that's it. But now that I'm here, and now that dietetics is such a growing field and more people are interested, you can work in schools, you can work in outpatient, you can go to patients' homes. I think it's really important to know that with a major in dietetics, you can work in almost any type of setting you want.
Why I love working with children is because you can make them as passionate about food as you are. Just a simple message will impact a child's daily life all the way up until they're an adult.
Sports nutrition combines the best of all possible worlds. It's our culinary expertise, it's our clinical expertise, and you get to work with active people, telling them what to eat, when they eat it, and how much. That is a home run.
As a supermarket dietitian for Meijer stores, I help consumers sort through the confusion because all those decisions about what they're going to eat starts in the grocery store, and that's where we become a very valuable resource because we can guide them and show them how to make those healthier choices.
At Vital Bridges, I provide one-on-one counseling either in person or through telenutrition sessions. Along with that, we provide food specifically for people who are living with HIV/AIDS.
Right now I'm working in health IT. So as a dietitian, there's not that many of us working in this area. So my challenge right now is to be that trailblazer to make that path for us as nutrition professionals working in the health IT space.
I've spent most of my career working with failure to thrive children and underserved populations. The greatest impact that I could have as a dietitian was to work with people who didn't have enough food and to make sure that I increased awareness in all ways
so that we made sure that people had enough food.
With a career in dietetics, you are guaranteed to experience the reward of helping others and changing lives.
Nutrition is the one area where we can intervene and actually change people's lives. How many jobs can you say that my job every day is to make people feel better, live longer, and to be happier? And we get to do that as dietitians, and that's why nutrition is so important.
I've always just loved to help people and to share information. And if I can do that and help improve their lives, that's just the best thing.
It's always exciting to see the fruits of the labor, so to speak, that what it is that they put into their body is translating to allowing them to run those skills, to hit those home runs, to throw somebody out at the plate.
I find it very rewarding to be in the field because I can help people in the community make healthier choices and living a healthier life.
The best part of any profession, and especially with dietetics, is getting to work with people. And since we're all about food, getting to work with people and food. What's going to be better than that?
The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics is your source for everything you need to start your path.
So this is how one can, these are the various fields where a dietitian can work. Now, now I want to relate this to our curriculum. We have weightage of this food and nutrition 18 marks, approximately 4 to 5 marker question can come from this. So there are various strategies for bright students which we can use. Ask them to practice to achieve perfection, read each word carefully, test themselves by doing the various tests, questions, papers and quizzes in class. Then we can practice them, advise them to read each word carefully. Self-motivation, we can motivate them and tell them that we although we are asking you to do, but your own inner side should also be there. You should get motivated from yourselves and you can do yourself. No one can push you. You yourself can do. No one can make a change for anyone, but yourself is responsible for making change. We can ask them to read carefully, focus on headings, subheadings, highlighting the keywords, bullet points should be focused. All abbreviations and their full forms can be noted down with dates in some flashcards, years and names of the various people involved in various research, whatever names are given in the book. Then strategies for weak students: do all the questions, objective and subjective, given at the back of the chapter. Learn important topics and points, boxes in NCERT, all pictures, diagrams. Practice will make them perfect. So if required, and weak students especially, they should go both weak and bright can go interact with the teacher, one-to-one interaction from the time to time. So now it's online. We can take this online classes also one-to-one to clarify their doubts and solve their difficulties, to motivate them, to point out the weakness and strengths they have, where they are lacking, where they can improve, how they can improve. Now, important points while attempting the paper is, we can tell them read the instruction carefully. Paper consists of internal choices. Select the option carefully, answer in the points, and answer to them to the point. Diagram or web chart if required for short and long answers. Highlight key terms while writing the paper. Then revise. It is very important to revise and check your answers. Do not leave any questions or part unattempted. Check diagrams of web charts and their wherever required during doing questions. Some of the common errors: leaving part of the question unanswered, wrong questions, MCQ not mentioned, the alphabet or the number of options not mentioned properly, write the word or words. So choose your, so these are the some mistakes which can we tell them in advance so that they do not do while attempting the questions. So and we can tell them choose your options after thinking, especially if there are choices in the question. Then 5 ways to improve examination. Play more importance to what is said. Take notes in class. Establish goals and work towards it. Organize time management. Check out the weakness. Take the help of different resources. So success is nothing more than a few simple discipline practice every day. So this is how we can teach them in class. Thank you so much. Now I am going to share one form with you that is a assignment of this. You can complete it by evening and send this to me. Okay. With this, I end my session. Ma'am, have you shared the feedback form, Chanchal ma'am?
Yes, Anju ma'am, I've shared. The feedback link is in the chat window. Please kindly fill all the participants to fill the feedback form.
Along with this, I am sending one form that is an assignment. Okay, assignment on this chapter.
Thank you, Anju ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was such an insightful and enriching listening today in your session. Anju ma'am, we all got immensely benefited on various aspects of clinical nutrition and dietetics, such as significance of clinical nutrition, basic concepts related to clinical nutrition and dietetics, role of dietitian and medical nutrition, chronic disease and diet therapy, career in clinical nutrition and dietetics, etc. Through a very powerful presentation, videos and quizzes. We also knew about the common errors related to topics, different tools to make the topics interesting and interactive, and strategies for weak and bright students. Thank you so much, Anju ma'am.
Thank you, Chanchal ma'am.
We would like to express our gratitude for sparing time and expertise to enhance our proficiency in the online mode of dissemination of knowledge and for making valuable addition to the teaching pedagogy of the Amity Institute. I also thank you all for joining us today in this professional development program and for making it so successful. It has been a wonderfully evocative session and we have all learned new things that we could assimilate in our teaching. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. You can open your cameras once, and before leaving, just fill this assignment, feedback form and assignment form also. Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chanchal ma'am.
Ma'am, have you clicked the picture?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. You can leave the meeting now.
Can I stop recording, sir? You will stop the recording?